We have yet another PC to build, this time sponsored by MSI, and they've sent pretty much everything here. Obviously, Cooler Master stuff is from Cooler Master, and we have a few things from Corsair. That would be the 32 gigs of super sexy Dominator Platinum RGB modules. And then we also have a, what is this, a 1 terabyte? Yeah, 1 terabyte Gen 4 M.2 NVMe drive. It's the MP600. And then the rest of this is MSI. So we've got the Evoke 5700 XT, which we have slightly modified. We've actually replaced the thermal pads in this for the memory modules, also replaced the thermal compound with something that should lower temps overall, make this card a bit quieter. And then also we've got the Meg X570 Ace. This thing is a beast, one of the best X570 boards you can buy, and that's gonna be perfect for our 3800X, which we're gonna try to overclock as much as we can. We've got an AIO here from Cooler Master. This is the Master Liquid ML240R RGB. And yeah, we're gonna throw it all together. We're gonna show you the build log. We're also going to run a few benchmarks, show you guys what this PC is capable of. All right, let's get started. I wanted to give you a sense of just how big this full tower is. You can see how small I am by comparison. I'm using an ultra-wide lens, so that's part of the reason why if I get a little closer, you can see I have a pretty big head, and this thing is still dwarfing my head, and that's hard to do. There are two 200mm fans up front. You got plenty of hard drive hot swap bays. I love this inclusion. You can access that through the left panel. I've taken the left door off, but both the left and right panel are tempered glass, and they both swing like doors. They actually have little handles on them, so super easy to get into. There's a slight tint to the glass, and there's so much hardware support in a full tower. I've kind of missed this form factor. I usually build in mid towers because I like to fill out all the empty space. But this is just getting my creative juices flowing. There's so much more we could do in here. But anyway, we're gonna talk numbers now. How does this thing perform? Well, in 3D Mark Time Spy, it's a DX12 synthetic benchmark. The 5700 XT Evoke rings in a graphics score of 9046, while our 3800X with Precision Boost Overdrive enabled rings in a CPU score of 10,467, resulting in an overall score of 9234. This places us above 82% of all Time Spy results and comfortably into 4K territory, though I think the sweet spot for this rig is still heavy-duty 1440p gaming. And in GTA 5, we see just that, buttery smooth performance approaching 90 FPS with very high settings, 4-time anti-aliasing, and a few advanced graphics toggles enabled as well. Dropping things down to high and disabling AA altogether brought us well over 120 FPS, by the way, so make sure to fine-tune things the way you want them for a rig like this. That's one of the joys of being a PC gamer. In Assassin's Creed Odyssey, that's a newer title, admittedly more difficult to run because it is a newer title, obviously. Our MSI build pulls in a comfortable 60 FPS average in the Ultra preset. And lastly, Shadow of the Tomb Raider in the DX12 API reels in 83 FPS on average. Not bad for a title that was promoted by, well, the other team. This is an all AMD build, remember that. So we've got a healthy system on our hands, but how about temperatures? That's probably the other half of the equation. How hot is our system running to get the frame rates that we were getting in those games and the score we got in 3D Mark Time Spy? Well, you might be wondering how this 240mm AIO is doing up here, right? The 240R from Cooler Master. It's actually got an interchangeable little logo cap here. We put the MSI one on, but you can swap this out to really whatever you want, so that's nice. I wanted to make sure that I showed you guys that because not many AIOs have a customizable little CPU block plate, whatever you call it. A good thing to note is that the AIO can handle this 3800X even when it flexes all 16 threads. And if you wanted to manually overclock, you have a bit of headroom to do that as well. Our graphics card, by the way, peaked at roughly 75 degrees Celsius. Now, as for a few of the other components, let's talk about the MSI Meg X570 Ace. This thing, it's overkill. It's really the only word that comes to mind. It's one of the beefiest X570 boards around and boasts things like dual LAN, a large heat pipe spanning from the chipset to the VRM, and PCIe Gen 4, good for our Corsair MP600, whose reads peg nearly 5,000 megabytes per second in Crystal Disk Mark 6. The 750 watt power supply is plenty with hybrid mode engaged. You won't even know that it's there. The Corsair DOM flats are looking sexy as always. This entire build, I mean, for an all AMD system in 2019, I'm impressed, and it's such a relief to be able to build an all AMD system again that is viable for high-end 1440p gaming. It's been a while. Ryzen's been around for a bit, and Zen 2 obviously is kicking things up a notch, but in the graphics card department, the mid to high range tier has just been a bit lackluster as of late. I mean, we had, what, the RX 580s and 480s before that, and you could say Radeon 7, but like, you know, they discontinued that almost as quickly as they brought it to market. This is the first mainstream card that I feel totally comfortable recommending at this price point, and it's such a relief. All of these parts, by the way, can be found in the video description, so if you want to build something similar to this, it's very easy to do that. The 5700 XT, one of the most viable 1440p class cards in its price range, in my opinion. $400, just over that. It's a really good price for what you're getting. The 3800X is one of the best Zen 2 chips around currently, and for about, what, $400? I think it's good. You could get the 3700X, which I think is a little better value, and you're still going to get 8-core 16 threads, just not as high as single-core boost frequency. Not a problem. You could manually overclock if you want, enable PBO if you want. 240mm rad's going to serve you just fine for the most part, unless you get really unlucky in the Silicon Lottery, but I found that most Zen 2 chips I've tested are pretty consistent. I haven't gotten like a dud or anything, so I wouldn't be too worried about that. Big thanks again to MSI for sponsoring this video, sponsoring the parts to allow us to build this and show this off, and also, if you guys like this video, thumbs up, you know what to do. Click that red subscribe button, and I will catch you in the next one. This is Science Studio. Thanks for learning with us.